The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for attending our webinar today. The subject is how to get your orders out faster. And if you've never attended one of our webinars before, the way it works is that you can hear me, I cannot hear you. So feel free to conduct business as if you need to. If you need to ask a question, we want to encourage that. You can ask questions throughout the webinar. And the way that you're going to do that is by typing in your question pane. That's the little PANE pane. That's the little questions box. You'll see you can type in a question. And I'm going to reserve the questions. I'm going to answer all the questions at the end, but feel free to type them throughout the webinar as they pop in your mind. We are giving away, first of all, thanks again for your time. We know how valuable time is. And we're going to give away two $50 Amazon gift cards. And the way that we're going to do that is through a raffle. I'm going to ask you a couple question polls today that you're going to respond to. They'll only take you a couple seconds. Each time you respond to a poll, I think I have 3 of them, you're going to get an entry into that raffle. And then tomorrow we will send 2 people. We'll do a random number generator to those people, and then 2 people will get a $50 Amazon gift card, just as our way of saying thanks for your time. So let's go ahead and get started with our subject material today. And I know some of these things you're already going to know, but I just kind of want to hit on these points so you understand where we're coming from this webinar. So the first thing we want to look at is, why is fast order processing so important? Well, one reason is time pressure, and our industry is unique in that most of you are producing a high volume of orders, you're semi-manufacturing them, and of course your customers are giving you shorter and shorter timelines. And so all of this means that you have additional pressure on your business that other small business owners do not have. So your business, whether you like it or not, is a little different than most small businesses because you're doing custom manufacturing on very short time frames. So that's one reason why this order processing is so important. The other reason is quality matters. So as you know, you're in a very competitive industry, and there's tight margins as well. So that means you have to not only be fast, but you can't sacrifice quality. You have to be fast while you're producing quality work. Otherwise, you'll lose customers or they'll go to your competitors. Excuse me. And the third reason is the old adage that time equals money. So you and your employees spend about 50% of your time producing orders. Of all your labor, about 50% of that is spent producing orders. Excuse me. So therefore, if we can reduce time, you're saving money. And you also know from processing payroll that labor is either your first or second most expensive item, depending on, it's usually cost of goods or your employees. So your staff is expensive. So if you can save time on what they're doing, then you're saving money. Now the benefits of this to your business are happier customers. So again, if you're doing faster order delivery and with quality, then your customers are happier. That typically means you're going to get more business. It means you're going to need less staff. And this is a big one today because of the labor shortage that our country is dealing with. Shopworks, the company, deals with it. The customers that we speak to, everybody's kind of affected by this labor shortage. So you'll have less staff is required to get orders out the door if you can do them quicker, and then they can start working on the next order. So that kind of lessens that labor problem. And then thirdly, more production. So if you get orders out faster, that means you have actually more capacity. You don't have to add equipment. You can do more orders with your current equipment. So that's obviously, you can handle more business, meaning more profits, or you can save money on your existing business because you're cranking them out faster. So that's kind of what they all lead up to. And that's going to bring up our first poll today. First poll question. And I'm going to launch this poll. You'll see it on your screen. And by answering this, you're going to get one entry into the $50 gift card giveaway. So the question is, how much is the labor crunch affecting your business? A little bit, a moderate amount, a lot, or it's your biggest concern? And I'll share the results with you. I see people voting, so please just click in. Like I said, this is getting you a free entry into that $50 giveaway. So everybody can use a $50 Amazon gift card. So I see you guys voting. I'm going to close the poll down here in a couple seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to go ahead and stop this poll. And I'm going to share the results with you. So 24% of you said a little bit, 1 in 4. Over half of you said a moderate amount, 18% a lot, and 6% our biggest concern. So 3 out of 4 of you said either moderate, a lot, or our biggest concern. So what we're hearing from you is what we're hearing from our customer base, and that is that the labor problem is real. It's not going away, and labor costs continue to escalate. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you about is kind of the typical shop. Now, this doesn't come from any poll we do or anything like that. Shopworks goes to trade shows. We talk to people on the phone who are interested in our software. And when we talk to people and they have an interest in software that we offer or are looking for software, the typical shop represents kind of how that company currently runs. So let me kind of describe this to you. So typically most shops, especially smaller ones or growing shops, they're taking orders on 3-part forms, and they're communicating between departments on paper. So they're taking that 3-part form, and then you can see here in our little graphic, the salesperson is writing up the form, then they're taking one and giving it to art, they're taking another one and they're giving it to production, maybe they're taking another form and giving it to I don't know who. Uh, but the communication, because of this, the communication related to an order is pretty slow and it's paper driven. Things tend to get lost. And if there's a change to the order, or if the customer calls and asks a question about an order, like what's the status of my order, it's time consuming to find out those answers because it's very paper driven. So that's kind of like part one. Part two of that is production scheduling. So most shops that call us, they're either using magnet boards or using spreadsheets. Sometimes they're just using stacks of paper. And of course, the problem with this is it's really hard for people to get their brains around the schedule. If a customer calls and says, "Hey, do you have any time on your schedule?" The person usually has to hang up the phone, go talk to the production manager. "Hey, can you fit this order in on X date?" Go back and call the customer. So if you're doing 5 orders a month, that's not a big deal. If you're doing 50 orders a month, 100 orders a month, or 300 orders a month, that can be very time consuming, and it can be frustrating to your customers. The other problem is you don't really have any predictive tools. You don't know when you're full or not full or how many hours you have scheduled. You just don't know those pieces of information. So that's kind of the production scheduling component. Then to get an order done, again, more forms are being passed around. So typically, like a form goes out to your production manager. When he's ready to produce the order, he pulls that form, fills out how many pieces have been produced, then that goes to shipping. Then the shipping person is manually entering that information into UPS, FedEx, ShipStation, something like that. And then when it goes time to invoice, that paperwork is then again traveling to the accounting department. And then they're having to go into QuickBooks and enter that thing into QuickBooks, that form. Or maybe the order is already in QuickBooks and they go invoice it, or some other accounting package. So that's kind of the cycle from taking an order to, fulfilling an order, and kind of what we see in the average shop. Now, what's the end result of this is number one, and you probably already know this because you're probably doing a lot of it, entering data manually into these multiple systems. So in my example I gave you, you're entering it onto a form, then you're typing it into ShipStation or UPS WorldShip, then you're typing it into QuickBooks. That's 3 right there. If you're doing production scheduling on a magnet board, that's 4. So entering that data onto those systems is increasing workload, but it's also causing problems, errors, because it doesn't change automatically if it changes in one place. Let's say the customer adds quantity, you have to go back and inform everybody. And that brings up my second point. Making changes to orders is difficult because you have to go grab paper. It has to be retrieved and edited and redistributed. So very clunky. Again, works for a small amount of orders, not as you get bigger. It's difficult, and really what that means is almost impossible to get real-time analytics. So if you're a business owner, if you're a manager, and you need to make informed decisions about taking orders or when you can get orders out or how many pieces you have right now, lots of questions. Having all this information on paper is almost useless in that if you wanted to do some analytics, you'd have to grab all the pieces of paper and type it into a spreadsheet. So I guess it can be done theoretically, but super time intensive. And then lastly, it's hard and slow to get customers' answers. So if a customer calls in and asks a question about an order or wants to change something on an order, there's more chasing paper and talking to people. It's slow. And that's not only inefficient for your shop, it's also frustrating to your customer. So don't think only this is software is operational. It's only for operations. It also has to deal a lot with customer satisfaction. So the bottom line for your business, the bottom line of all these 4 points, you're wasting time chasing paper. Orders are taking too long to get out. I could also add here, you and your employees are getting frustrated. And I could also add here that your customers might be getting frustrated. So that's typically kind of what we see when we talk to somebody on the phone or again, meet them at a trade show. And that's going to prompt me, this little red asterisk you figured out, prompts me to ask a question. So my next question, let me launch this one again. We'll only take a couple seconds. Now on this one, if you could go ahead and answer this one. And just click on as many of these as apply. It's not a one question for everybody. How do you currently run your shop? Are you doing hand-entered orders, spreadsheets, or scheduling boards for production, QuickBooks or similar for accounting, e-commerce to take orders, and industry-specific order management software? So those are kind of your choices. Just chime in on that. Again, getting you one more chance at the very lucrative $50 Amazon gift card giveaway, which will happen tomorrow. So if you just click on there, I see a little over half of you voted, and we'll close the poll here in a couple seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to close the poll, and I'll share these results with you. So 41% of you are doing hand-entered orders. 36% are using spreadsheets and boards for production. Half of you are using QuickBooks, actually 55% are using QuickBooks or something similar for accounting. Another 17% are using e-commerce to take orders. Normally that number is a little higher, but that's fine. And then half of you are using some sort of industry-specific order management software. So maybe Printavo, maybe Shopworks, maybe one of our competitors. You're using something. Maybe it's something you created yourself. So that's the results from the poll. So let's look at our next thing is, let me close my poll there. Okay, so next thing is, how do you fix this? How are we going to fix this problem that I've described? Well, there's many ways, but I'm going to focus on 4 today. And the first one we're going to talk about, well, let's just go over them real quick, is easy order entry, better workflow, that means moving your order through your shop, improved communication between internally at your company and also with your customer, and also customer self-service. That means where a customer can help themselves without having to call you. So our software, OnSite software, is going to help you with all these things. And let's first talk about easy order entry. So what does easy order entry mean? Well, you have many options in our software, and I'm going to show you this here in a minute. So don't think I'm only going to be doing, I forgot to mention that. I'm not just going to be showing you slides today. I'm actually be showing you our software, and we're about to start that. But order entry, you have many options in our system, in OnSite. Our system is called OnSite. Shopworks is the company. You have many options in how to get orders into OnSite. One is you can enter them manually. So a customer calls you, or you've taken an order over the phone and you want to enter it into our system. You can clone a previous order. Now, what does that mean? Well, believe it or not, about 50% industry average orders are reorders. So 50%, 40 to 60%, but about 50% of your orders are reorders, meaning a customer's already ordered it. So if that order is in our system, for the next order, all you have to do is click a button and clone the order. Huge time saver. So you can enter an order manually new, you can clone a previous order. And the third one is becoming more and more important as time moves on. It was the year, I remember the 80s, then it was the 90s, then it was the 2000s, now it's 2023. And more people are taking orders from multiple channels. And one of those channels is e-commerce. Now, Shopworks supports bringing in orders from all kinds of e-commerce solutions. So I've listed a couple here: WooCommerce, Inksoft, BrightStore, Shopify, Order My Gear. Some of these are industry specific. Obviously, Shopify and WooCommerce are very generic. And we can actually take orders from any website because we have a generic API that any website can talk to and push order information, push payment information, and customer information into our system. So those are the three main ways you're going to enter orders into our system. So let's go over here and let's look at, I'm going to open up OnSite. Well, I'm already logged in. This is what our system looks like. And one thing I'd like to point out is that I am logged in, as you can see here, Jay Markinson, and Jay Markinson is the administrator of this company. And as the administrator or owner of the business, Jay can see everything. These buttons across the top are our main departments, if you will. So you have sales, purchasing, receiving, production, shipping, and invoicing. That's kind of your order workflow, if you will. Then we have accounting. Then we have inventory, analysis, utilities, marketing, customers, products, designs, and vendors. So I'm not going to go through the entire system today. I'm just going to hit on some key points that tie into this webinar. And I can create a new order by just clicking on add, and you can see it'll just kind of walk me through a wizard where I select the order type. So our system is very configurable for all different kinds of businesses, not just screen printers, embroiderers, promotional products. But you can see here more and more companies are doing all kinds of production or all kinds of sales. And you can see here we support digital printing, we support retail sales, we support orders from websites, fulfillment orders, lots of different kind of orders. So I would just kind of go through this wizard. I would select an order type. I'd select a customer. I would select or create a design, select my items for the order, and I'd be off and running. But what we're going to do today is I actually have an order that I'm going to clone. I want to show you that cloning feature. So I'm going to find an order, and the order is 4512. This is an order a customer, one of our repeat customers has done in the past, and it brought up the order. And if I click on the status of that order, I can see the status. We'll talk about that in a minute. I can see thumbnails, which shows me how we produced it last time. So this was an apparel order, and we had a front and back to the shirt. And if I click on the order, I'm now in the order itself, and I can see all the details separated by tab. So I can see the customer information. I can see the design information. The design information will vary based on the production type. We have all different, you can set up all different types of production for our system. Again, not just for apparel, for any kind of production. And you can see here we're recording for screen printing, we record the number of colors, and then we have these custom things we can store. In this case, mesh, durometer, angle. So we know exactly how we produced the order last time. It's a read-only order because this is an older order. We have some line items here. These are the items that we produced last time. Shipping, our system supports shipping to multiple locations. So if you have an order where it's being split and shipped to multiple places, our system can do that. We're also fully integrated with UPS, FedEx, United States Postal Service, and also we recently added an integration with ShipStation. So we're integrated with all these different other pieces of software. And what that integration means is, let's say I had 3 different shipping addresses. I don't have to rekey that into ShipStation or into UPS WorldShip. I can simply type in this number, this order number, into those systems, and it'll pull out the information from our system. Also, it'll push package tracking into our system. So you can share that information with customers from OnSite, and you'll have that data already in your system. It's done automatically. We have notes to our other departments. We have analysis where we can see if we're making money on our orders or not. And just so you know, these are all password or access controlled, I should say, as well. So I can prevent people from seeing, people meaning my staff, from seeing this analysis tab. Maybe I don't want them to see our profitability. So they'll just see nothing when they come here. Our system does have full accounting, full payment processing and accounting as part of our system. So I can see here on this particular order, we had some credit cards and a check they paid with the order. We have attachments that we can add. So if we have documents the customer sent us or artwork, I can add those to the order. And we have a proofing system. I'm not going to go through it today, but we have a whole product called Proof Stuff where we track the approval process for an order. So you can see here we sent this customer an artwork concept and a final approval, and we can see the status of them. And I can even go and say, okay, here's the artwork concepts I sent them. It brings up a web page. And I can see this is what the customer approved. So this is the art. We gave them 3 options. They approved one of them. And I can see the date and time and who signed for it. Again, I'm just giving you an overview of all these different features. I know I'm going through this very fast. I'm going through this a lot fastly. And this is where I'd print out forms. Now, some customers do everything digital, some meaning customers, meaning ShopWorks customers, do everything digital. They don't use forms, but you certainly have that option if you want to. We have lots of forms in the system. So you can kind of go either way on that. Some customers use a hybrid. Sometimes they use forms in certain departments, and other departments they do everything in the system. But again, this is an order that's already been complete. So I just want to clone this order, and I can enter all my different information. Different pieces of information I can copy or not copy. It'll save your preferences. And I'm just going to say clone. And now I have a new order. So just that quickly, 629, the customer wants the order by 7:15. 2 weeks, they want the order. The order's on hold. That's done automatically by a setting, and I can say why it's on hold, or I can take it off of hold. And you have some different options here. So we're off and running. So again, that's what we see is that's about 50% of reorders. And I could go into this line items tab, and you can see here they ordered Hanes BVTs last time, but they want to actually increase their quantities. So I can go in here and I can change their quantities. Notice that we have a size matrix that's included with our system, so you're not having to enter every size on a different line. And I can change my price here because we have a lower price for the higher quantities. We also have a calculated price. We can use a price calculator. I can turn that on or off. Again, I'm going through a lot of features fast with you guys. Ask questions as you like. I don't want to be overwhelming with this, but I just want to show you there's a lot of power here that I'm not going to be covering today. So that's my order, and that's how quick it is to actually enter a new order to the system if it's a reorder. If I'm doing APIs, let's say orders are coming in off my website, all I got to do is go to this order API. I can say order API import. I select which integration I want to use. So let's say I'm using the ShopWorks integration, and I'll put in give me everything for this month. Now there probably won't be any orders in here. Yeah, there's no orders to import right now. But what it would do is just bring up the orders, and it would automatically import them and bring them in my system as orders. Now that can be done automatically as well. You can do that automatically, or you can do it manually. There's also protections in there against duplicating orders. So it's not going to let you duplicate orders. It'll kick out an error for you. So that's kind of our first thing is order entry, is our first way of improving how we're going to fix this paper problem. So the next thing is better workflow. Well, what does that look like? So better workflow means that OnSite, once you enter an order to the system, that order automatically goes to other departments. So for example, I'm going to log out as myself. And I'm going to log in as another person. I just want to show you kind of what that looks like, because everything is access controlled in our system. So pretend like I'm another user on another computer, not named Jay, named John, and John logs into on his desktop. And notice that John gets a different look. And the reason why is, actually I logged in as the wrong person. We're going to come back to John in a minute. So I want to log in as Alyssa. So Alyssa is somebody who does our purchasing. She also does some of our accounting. And I'm going to log in as Alyssa. We'll come back to John in a minute. But when I log in as Alyssa, again, it looks different. And you'll notice that looked different from John. So Alyssa has access to sales, purchasing, and then the accounting functions. She has no access to these other areas. She doesn't need it as part of her job. Also, if Alyssa, let's say, just looks at all orders that we're working on right now, notice that she can see the status of every order. So if she clicks on status, you can see the status of every order. These status indicators change automatically as people are using the system. You have here, is the design done? Is the art approved, order approved, purchasing, subcontract purchasing, receiving, production, shipping, invoicing, and is the order paid or not? Some of these are customizable. Some of them are hardwired into the system. They're all real time. So as people change something on an order, for instance, when my purchasing person does purchasing, they don't have to say update the order, it does it automatically. And everybody in my organization sees that. So just by this order status page, it solves a ton of communication problems with regards to an order. Because I can see in a snapshot what's going on with each order. If I want to see the details on any order, I can click into it. I'm just going to pick any random order here. And notice it's read only. Well, that's interesting. Why is it read only? Well, one reason it's read only if it's an order that's been invoiced, but this order has not been invoiced yet. I can see that by this invoice no. And the reason why is I don't allow Alyssa to make changes to an order. She can only see orders. So that might be a setting for customer service agents. You don't want them to be able to change orders. You just want them to be able to see orders. You could also make them or allow them to only change their orders and see their orders. So there's lots of different settings. I'm not going to get into all that, but just so you know, you have ways to set up our system that very well can control what employees see what information. Now, Alyssa also does purchasing. So if she goes over to purchasing, you can do purchasing different ways in our system. I can do it by order, meaning I can just go through each order and purchase goods, or she can do it by line item. So I can gang orders together. If I have lots of orders to get let's say a 5180 Haynes BVT, I can group those together. Just for simplicity's sake, for today's demo, just know both of those are there. I'm going to do it by order. And if I click on all to purchase, I want you to think of this as a purchasing queue. This is everything that needs to be purchased right now for all outstanding orders. Now, because this is a demo system and I have data in here, you can see we have orders from 2020. That's not going to be a real world situation. But if I go down to the bottom here, there's the DC Special Olympics order that I can see that needs to be purchasing done or pulling from inventory. So our system does have full-blown inventory as well. So how does this solve our problems, our paper problem we were describing earlier? Well, it helps solve it because I'm not having to take a piece of paper and give it to my production agent, my person doing purchasing. Those purchasing, I said production agent, I should have said purchasing agent. My person doing purchasing already has in their queue. If they simply go in here and click on a button and see all to purchase, they can bring up all the orders they need to purchase. Now, that's a lot of orders. They could also say, find me everything that's due, and they could say date due, requested ship date through, let's say 7/15. Now, there's not going to be a lot of orders in here. Oh, no, we do have a lot. So there you go. So, but you can see how I can narrow that search if I like. So, and you could set those up as stored finds. So I just click a single button and it brings up all my orders. Show me all my orders I need for the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next 3 weeks. Show me all my only screen printing orders. Show me all my only promotional products orders. There's lots of different stored finds you can set up. So again, you're eliminating paper by having to do that. So now let's log out again. And I'm going to look at John. So John is my guy who does he does receiving. He also does some shipping. So I'm going to log in as John. Again, different person on a different computer. And when John logs in, he's going to see something different than Alyssa. So John doesn't have access to sales at all. All he has access to is receiving and shipping. And again, everything's queued up for him. So he can go receiving, show me all not received. Here are all of his orders to be received. Well, these are purchase orders. I can do receiving by purchase order. I can also do it by order. So you have some options there. Receiving, same concept. All not shipped, by order. Show me everything that hasn't shipped. And here's all the orders that haven't shipped. If he's ready to ship an order, he simply clicks on it. And he simply marks which items have shipped. If he does a partial shipment, let's say in this case, for whatever reason, he can only ship 10 today because only 10 were produced. And he wants to ship that. 10 were shipped. And he'll have 2 that he has to ship tomorrow once production's been done. Now notice when I'm on an order, I can see what's been done on that order. Now this is not a real world scenario because nothing's actually been produced yet, so I would not be shipping this. But that's kind of how the system works. We also have a touch screen. So this is kind of our desktop interface, if you will. We also have a touch screen interface. So this is order number 4459. If I go to my touch screen interface, and I look at shipping, it was 4459. And I can look at the overview of the shipping, and there's the 10 items that have shipped, and I have 2 more that still need to be shipped. So this is kind of designed to be used more on a production floor. It's part of the system. There's no additional cost to that. And you guys decide if you prefer to do it like in a kind of desktop environment or on what we call a touchscreen. The touchscreen doesn't mean that you actually need a touchscreen enabled computer to use it. Some people do. Some people just use a mouse and a keypad. What it is designed to do is actually be bigger on screen when you're using larger monitors. So, and then of course you have invoicing. I showed you Alyssa. Alyssa would do the invoicing and she would go in there. I'm not going to log in and log out again as Alyssa. She would do the invoicing. I am going to log in and log out as one more person though, because I kind of want to show you what Eddie sees. Eddie's my production manager. So I'm going to go to Eddie, log in as him. And Eddie sees something different. He has access to sales orders but can't change them, read only. I allow him to see receiving because I want him to see when orders are coming in or if he wants to go in here and do some research. But I've made this read only for him. So if Eddie goes in here, see it's read only. He can't do the receiving, he can just see the receiving. But Eddie has full control in production. So he's my production manager. And I can look at production a couple different ways. I can look at everything not produced. So this is kind of a list view or a report view. I can do searches in here, show me the next week, show me the next month, show me the next day. You can do all kinds of things like that. I can also look at a production calendar. So if I go to Eddie's calendar view, he can see on a calendar, and I'm just looking at this date, November, because that's when I have more data to show you, but he can see a snapshot of what's being produced on each day. Now, he might not want to see all different kinds of production. He might only want to see by machine, or he might want to see by department. So he might only want to see, let's say, screen printing. So if he looks at screen printing, he only sees screen printing orders, or he might only want to see embroidery orders. And I can see the department. I can look at it by machine. I can look at it by design, by company. And if I want more details, let's go to an all view just so we can see more. I can go to a weekly view. I can drill down to a daily view. So here's a day where I have a lot of production. Notice as I'm doing that, it's telling me how much production I have on a given day in hours and quantity. And I can even click down to the actual order. So here's a DC Special Olympics order, and I can go to that order, and now I'm in the order itself, and I can see the production details. If I want to see the design, I can see all the design information. I can click and see thumbnails. I can see exactly how it's supposed to be produced. So again, all those tools, we're getting away from paper forms is the big message of this. We're doing everything digitally on a computer. So if you have computers, a shared computer on your production floor or one on each machine, then people can get away from paper. They can enter data as they're doing orders, like they could say the order's done right as they're on the press or on a machine. They can also look up to make sure they're producing an order correctly. They can go to the production schedule. They can see the number of imprints. They can go to the work order. They can see exactly what's being produced and how many. So there's lots of different information here that can be seen as they're working on the order. So that's how we would fix that problem. So what's the end result of all this kind of workflow management and all these things that we've talked about here? Well, oh, I skipped over a couple things. A couple things I wanted to show you, two more quickies, and then we'll kind of start wrapping things up. So if you have questions, now's the time to ask it. So we've covered easy order entry. We've covered better workflow. I want to cover improved communication. I kind of skipped over that one. But one of the things that you can do in our system that's super important, let me log back out as myself. And I'm just going to kind of cover this point quickly. If you want more details on any of this stuff, of course, we can set up a personalized demo for you. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But I'm just going to bring up that order that I entered today. So I'm going to say created today. Here's my order I created today. And I entered the order, but I want to enter some notes on this order because this customer has some very specific things that they want. Excuse me. So I'm going to add a note and I'm going to send this note to the art department and I can just type in my note or I can use stock notes. But I'm going to say, be careful on this one. Customer is very specific and picky on the colors. So just maybe they complained last order and I just want that note to go to my art and production departments. I'm going to save that. And so I see that on the order. so that it's time and date stamped with the person and who made it. Only they can change it or delete it. And so how does that appear to them? Well, in two ways. Number one is if you use forms. If I showed you, remember I showed you the forms. If we're printing out forms, those notes will appear on the production form and on the art form. If we're not using forms, then when people are using the system, when they're using the production functionality in the system, when you're using the art functionality in the system is actually going to pop a message and let them know, hey, be careful on this one. Customer is very specific and picky on the colors. Now, I also might have some instructions that I want to send to my purchasing department. So I'm going to put here, must use Hanes Beefy Teas, no substitutions, no substitutions. So this is just letting my purchasing department know you can't use any other white t-shirts. The customer is very particular. And I'm going to send that to my receiving department too. So if by mistake purchasing sends that to order something else to receiving says, hey, wait a minute, we're not supposed to have Gildan white t-shirts. They're supposed to be Hanes Beefies. So that's now going to go to my also to my production and to my art department, or I'm sorry, receiving and purchasing. That's my second note. Again, will be on forms and again will pop up on screen. So that's one way you can communicate. That's order specific. Another way to communicate is we have a whole messaging system. So if you go over here to this customer tab, we have what are called internal messages, and those are messages we can send directly to an individual regarding this order. These notes are departmental notes. That's how I kind of want you to think of them. And over here we have internal messages. That's to a specific individual. We also have activities. Activities are, I can create an email directly from this order. For example, this is super powerful. My customer wants to see a copy of the order. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to invoice. I'm going to select my invoice. I'm going to email that to the customer. I'm going to use this email utility. It's going to create a PDF, send it to my customer automatically with a stock message. I'm not going to take you through that. It's like 3 clicks. And then that's going to be recorded in here. So I see the date and time that I sent the customer the invoice. I would see that as an activity. Another activity we can create is a request for payment. Remember, OnSite is not only an order taking system, it's an accounting system and payment system. So I can send them a click to pay link. Let's say I require a deposit on this order. I could send them a link to request payment and they can pay directly from that link. And that payment, here's the key part, will automatically go into your system. So you see we have this payments tab. Once the customer pays, it'll automatically post to this order. You know, if they pay with credit card, if they pay with an electronic check, it has to be an electronic payment, but if they pay that way, then it'll automatically show in the system. So everything's super integrated. Communication is a key part of our system. And you can even take that a step further. And that's our number 4 point here, customer self-service. Well, customer self-service is the next level of improved communication. So with your on-site system, you already have improved communication. We're communicating internally better. We're communicating with customers better. It's very easy to get customers' information. Let's say my customer calls in. This is DC Special Olympics. They do a lot of ordering for us, and I use them a lot in my demos because I used to own a screen printing embroidery company. That's how OnSite was originally created, and that was my biggest customer, was DC Special Olympics. So I have a special place in my heart for them, and that's why I use them in this demo. So let's say you do a lot of business with them. Let's say they call me on the phone and want to know the status of an order. Well, I have 25 orders I'm working on for them right now. What one are you talking about? Oh, we're talking about the torch run order for the coffee mugs. Okay, let me tell you the status of that. We've purchased the goods, but they're not received yet, or we've partially received them, and no production's been done yet. If I need details, if they say, oh, how many of those did I order? I just click on it, go to line items, and I can tell them exactly what he ordered. So very quickly, I can get customers' answers. So that's kind of like level 1 of better customer communication. Level 2 is I can quickly send them information. And level 3 is this customer self-service, right? So that's where our world's going right now. You're not calling Amazon to get information on your order. You're simply logging into Amazon and you can see the order with the information yourself. So we can do that with OnSite, with our system, with ShopWorks. I'm going to go to manage orders. This is a part of our family of products. There is an additional cost for managed orders. It's pretty small. My customer can either view the order via just the order number in the email, so they don't have to log in, or in this case, they do a lot of ordering, so they log in. And when they log in, they can see all of their order status. They can see the status of each order. They can click on an order and they can see the details. They can see what they ordered. They can see the status on an order. They can even pay for the order. And this information, when they pay with credit card or pay with a check, this order, the payment will actually automatically be posted to your on-site system, and it'll automatically go into your bank. So it's not just that this website is there, it's that it's completely integrated with your on-site system. This product is called Manage Orders. One last quick note about it. You control what the customer sees. So you don't have to show them order status, or you can only show them certain statuses. So you can kind of control what the customer sees. You have to control over that. So our fictitious company, this would be your logo, source logo, and this is what your customer would see. So a lot of power here, and this is that last level of communication, takes the load off of your customer service department and really enables your customers to embrace self-service. So what's the end result of all this? Well, hopefully you can see this. You're going to be basically kind of eliminating paper, or as much as you'd like to. You can eliminate 0% or you can eliminate 100%. You can deliver orders faster. This enables you to lower labor costs, happier customers and employees, fast business analytics for managers and owners. I'm not showing that component in this demo, but business owners can quickly see what's going on. How many orders do I have? How many orders did I do last month? What kind of orders were there? How profitable were they? What orders do I need to charge more for? Things like that. So all of this is available with a couple clicks of a button. So I'm going to start answering questions here in a second, but before I do, I'm going to do two things. I want to tell you very quickly about ShopWorks, the company. We're not generic software, as I mentioned. I used to own a screen printing and embroidery shop a long time ago, but I did own it. So everybody at ShopWorks understands our industry. And our industry is screen printers, embroiderers, promotional products, digital printing, awards and recognition, fulfillment. If you put logos on things and sell them, then our system will work for you. We've installed for over 1,500 companies since 1998. This is our 25th year in business. And you're unlikely to outgrow our software. So we have customers who have a single user to over 100 concurrent users. So you can grow your business pretty large with our software. And all of our support and implementation is US-based support. We help you get up, we help you get trained, and it usually takes about 30 days to 45 days to do that. And obviously I need to update my slide because we want to help you make 2023 and onwards your best years ever. We have lots of references. We're a soft sell company. We're not a high pressure sales company. And so that's going to launch my last poll here. And my last poll is, would you like to get a demo of our software? We will schedule you for that when it's convenient for you. Like I mentioned, we're not a hard sell company. We'll show you our software. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If you just answer yes or no, no is fine, no, not a problem. That gets you another entry into the $50 gift card giveaway. So you can see why we did that. See, we want to get responses here. So if you just click on yes or no, I would appreciate it. We'll close that poll here in a minute, and now I'm going to start answering questions. So Owen asked, do you need to run an on-site accounting program concurrently with ShopWorks, or can ShopWorks handle it all? No, ShopWorks handles it all. So our software has the full accounting component. I obviously didn't demo that for you today, but it's not like an add-on. It's part of the software. It's pretty full powered, and it's not going to have all the bells and whistles of every accounting program, but it's very full powered, and the power of it is fully integrated, so it's very easy to do things. And if you do say yes to schedule a demo, we'll be happy to show you the accounting component of it. Excuse me. John asked a great question. Are you just a software company, or are you in the industry selling to the same customers as we do? No, we do not. I sold that business in 2003. I think I sold, my company was called Jam Graphics. It's now called Emblemax. You can look them up online. But no, I have no connection to them. We've just been focusing on the software since 2003. John also asks, is your system cloud-based? We have options for you. It's the same software. It can run on your internal servers, or it can be cloud-based. So that's can go either way. Will our art department be able to integrate the art they create into the order quickly? Yes. I mean, you're not going to store. So let's talk a little bit about art. So when you have an order, we have an order right here. And if you go to the design part of an order, let me select an order that has a thumbnail on it. Okay, so we can see here how the order was produced and the thumbnail image. Your art department's going to create that. So your art department's going to say when the design's done, they're going to upload a thumbnail, which takes a couple seconds, and they're going to put in this color information. Now the mesh might be determined. I'm talking about screen printing here. You'll get to determine who you want to enter this information. Maybe it's entered by art, maybe it's entered by production, or both. So you kind of have some choices there. But yes, your art staff is going to be interacting with the system to say when stuff is done, and also to put in those art details. Does the system give you exact time and material cost per job? Okay, I'm going to hesitate to use the word exact. Okay, I don't. That's kind of a little bit of a trap word there, but yes, it does. I mean, this is our job costing page, and a lot of these costs are actual costs. Some of them are estimated, but you can turn on which of these you want to include. So you have control over this. But remember, our system is tracking product being purchased. That's actual cost. So yes. Now we also have, you can determine different ways to do labor. You can do it cost averaging, or if you want to actually do time logs. So we actually have time logs when people are working on a job. That will actually bring in actual labor costs. So yes, you can get pretty detailed with this if you like to. Different customers, different Shopworks customers approach it different ways. Some people are looking for more cost averaging. Other people are looking for more actual cost. So you have some options there. So is there a way for a customer to follow their order through our production? Yeah, I think through manage orders, they can see on an order whether the production's done or not. There's no more detail than that. So they would just see yes, no, or partial. They can't see, like, if you had a job of, I'm just saying, let's say 100,000 pieces and it's going to take you, a month or something. It's not going to, they're not going to see exactly how many pieces are done, but they can see the status on an order. Joe asks, what benefits would you say Shopworks has over its competitors such as Printavo? I'm not going to say a lot about this. You're going to have to look at both of them, to be honest with you, to evaluate. I feel like the consensus is that Printavo's probably a little easier to use out of the box, which I would not argue with. It probably does less for your business. It's certainly not as full featured as ours is. Ours takes a little bit more time to set up, but it's more full featured. So it's kind of a trade-off. I think if you looked at our customer bases, our customers tend to be kind of the growing customers who want to be bigger, and Printavos tend to be smaller companies. Now that's not a rule. I'm sure there's bigger companies using Printavo, and there's certainly smaller companies using OnSite. So, but that question, yeah, you're going to have to look at both of those. And listen, I have nothing bad to say about Printavo. It's a good-looking piece of software, and they're pretty nice people over there. So. Mike asks, can orders be edited if the order is already invoiced prior to the order actually being completed? Also, can pro formas? Yes. So the question, answer number one is pro formas, meaning you're printing an invoice and sending it to a customer before it's actually invoiced. Yes, you can do that, no problem. I actually did that. That was one of the pages I showed you on this order. I can just go to print. I've printed my invoice. I can just select my invoice and I can just email it to them, or I can print it out. So no problem there. So in our system, an order becomes an invoice. So to do that, you have to, quote, invoice it. Once you invoice it, it's locked up. However, let's say I made a mistake or the customer points out the price is wrong. Well, I can simply uninvoice that order, make the edit, and re-invoice it. So invoicing an order is not like you can reverse it. You can reverse it with proper access rights. You can reverse it. John asks, is this software compatible with a CRM system? Well, it kind of is a CRM system. So we have a whole marketing component. I'm not going to get into that, but that's for doing the marketing part. Some people use other marketing packages like Salesforce.com. So we're not really integrated with any of those, but there's no reason why you couldn't use, Salesforce or some other CRM program. And then when it becomes an order, you would have to enter that order into OnSite. Or push it through the API. If you had an order in Salesforce, you could push it through our API into OnSite. But there's not going to be any back and forth. Like OnSite is not going to then update Salesforce. So there are some limits there. But yes, I'd say most of our customers are probably using a third-party CRM. Mike asked, can the purchasing person see items need to be ordered separately? For example, promotional items versus inventory component items. Yes, absolutely. So if you go over here to your, let's go over to purchasing. So I can purchase by order. And if I just look at all to purchase, notice they're separated by order type. And order type is basically representing those different buckets that you're talking about. So I actually have one for promotional items. I have one for awards, which would be components that you're talking about. And by the way, our system does support kitting and components of items. So you can have in our system one item that's made out of other items and sell them. So that's either kitting, or like if you're doing awards and you want to make that award made of a plate and a marble base and a figure, all those things are part of our system. Again, we can give you more demo on that personally, but yes, so our system does handle both of those. And Mike also asked kind of a follow-up question: does the production person see in the system instructions on how to build it? Yes, they can. So actually, I'm looking at promotional products. Let's go to one of these. I might not have a good example for you because, like I said, this is a kind of a development system that I'm working on here. So yeah, so I can see here a little bit of what we're talking about. So here's two items. They're crystal awards that were. So if I look at what we need to buy, these are items that we need to buy. But you can see here hardware, main body. If I look at the order's mail trophy, and it has part of that mail trophy, our trophy base, hardware, and main body. So these three items, the mail trophy is what you're selling, but these items are what you're actually producing and what you're purchasing. So yeah, that can be viewed, when you're doing on the order, when you're doing production, and also when you're doing your purchasing and fulfillment part of it. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I just answered. Mike had a question: does the system support a bill of materials? We don't call anything in our system bill of materials. So there's nothing that says bill of materials on it, but this is essentially a bill of materials. Maybe, I don't know if it's technically that, but it's kind of this is our closest thing we have to a bill of materials. So you can see you have different SKU numbers and what you're selling it as and the things that it's made of. So yeah, that's the closest thing we have. Paolo asked, could I have a copy of this recording? Great question. This will be recorded. I'll post it on our YouTube channel. If you just look for Shopworks Software on YouTube, you'll find us. I will post this on there by tomorrow or maybe Monday to rewatch it. Yes. Cost and payment options. We have different options based on cloud or if you're hosting it yourself. It's going to be per user per month is kind of how we do our pricing. And it can be anywhere from, $50 a month on up per user per month, depending on your options and number of users per month. So, but if you do a demo with kind of our sales processes, we talk to somebody, we do a demo, and then that maybe takes 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Based on your particular situation, we'll give you a quote and they'll send that over to you. Again, we're not a high pressure sales company, just so you know. Mike asked, can you import orders from our promotional products website, which is ESP? I believe that's a ESP product. Yeah, you can, Mike. You'd have to do that using we don't have a built-in integration to that. However, as I mentioned, we have what's called a generic API. So you could that company can create a little connector to connect to our backend, or you could have a third party do that. I'm assuming ESP has some sort of API. I know I'm using a lot of acronyms here and I apologize. API is just a term that means how different softwares communicate. So if ESP has an API and we have an API, you can build kind of a little bridger kind of thing to do that, to take the orders from ESP and put it into EDI. So that's an option there. ESP. And I say EDI because Paolo is asking, the next question is how hard to integrate with EDI? Same answer. So as long as you can suck the orders out of your EDI product, you can then push them to our API. So we don't have a direct integration. There's a million EDIs out there and there's a million websites. So we have direct integrations with, I listed you those ones that we have direct integrations with. And if you go to our website, just so you know, here's Shopworks. And if you go to products and integrations, shopping carts, those are the ones that we already integrate with directly, meaning OnSite just goes out and gets the information. Bright Stores, Inksoft, Order My Gear. But we also have a generic API which allows anybody, any third-party developer, meaning all these websites, EDI, to push to our orders. Mac asks, how do you control time studies and how are they entered? We don't really do time studies. You might be referring to time cards. So we have a time cards feature, which is pretty straightforward. Let's see, do I have it enabled here? So you can enable or disable certain tools. So I'll just kind of show you, yeah, I have production logs and art logs. So I'll bring up the production log. Oh, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. It's point of sale. So we have a point of sale thing. Production log. So here's the production log. So I can say what machine I'm working on, and I can say the time that we're doing. I can also do that for art logs. We have the same thing. And those times are, you know, on an order are feed into this analysis tab. So that's where labor comes in, where those time logs come in. That's the closest thing we have with regards to time studies. Hope that answered the question. Sorry, I had the poll up. Two people are asking about they can't see the screen. That's because I left the poll open like a dummy. So I apologize for that. I've corrected that. Okay. Can production see if an order, if it's already invoiced? Yes, absolutely. So when you're in production, and remember there's two ways to see production. I can look at it here. It's kind of what I'm going to call desktop. So if I'm looking at desktop, I can see if the order's been done. So actually it wouldn't be in here if it was invoiced. So if it's already invoiced, all not produced wouldn't, I wouldn't see it in here. So that's one option. Also, if you're looking at it from the touch screen, so the touch screen is kind of our shop floor. And if I go to receiving by order, what was my order number? It was 4512 was the one we entered today. So let's just say I'm in production. I'm looking at this order. And by the way, this doesn't have to be manually entered. It could be looked at. It could be done by barcode scanning. So you could actually let's say you have a piece of paper from our system. It goes out to your production floor, a traveler ticket, if you will. They scan the barcode and it brings the order information out, and I can see the order status right there. So I can see if it's been invoiced, paid, what's been done on that particular order. 4512 was the order I cloned, the original order, and I can see that one's already been invoiced. Jaime asks a question. When you have an order that, for example, needs a base, can you put the size that production will see the size? Yes. So we're getting into the details here of kind of like, there's lots of areas where you could put that information. So if we go in here to designs, now let me go to a different order that has a design on it. So I'm just scrolling through orders here. Okay, this is taking too long, so I'm going to go out here. Let's go to our order we entered today. So if this required a base on it that required a certain size, you could actually have one of these custom fields could be called size, and your color could be base. So you can make it say, see, in fact, we have one called underbase. So let's say this is an underbase required, and I could change one of these customs field to be size, and you could make it have a drop down of what different size your underbase is. So all this is customizable. I'm just kind of showing you one way that it's configured. There's tons and tons and tons of customizations. And remember, somebody asked about the difference between us and Printavo. I think we're probably a lot more customizable than Printavo, and that's why it takes longer to implement our system. When you buy our system, you're not just buying software. We're going to install it for you, and we're going to train you on it. And part of that training is not just training. It's helping you actually configure the system for your exact business. And we help you work out all these details. So that's kind of another way that we're probably different from Printavo, is that we help you with the implementation. Now, that's why our implementation does take longer. I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, you're going to have our system up and running in a couple hours. It's not Microsoft Word. Yes, the system will be running in a couple hours. That part's not a problem. But you have to set up and configure it, and we work with you on setting it up. And you might have some hard questions to answer because you might do it one way now, and our system, even though it's super configurable, can do things a lot of different ways. You might have to change some procedures, change a little bit how you do things. In most cases, our system is configurable for your business, but there are ways that it might work a little bit different. So that's why the process takes a little longer. Well, that's it for the questions. I'm out of time. This webinar is recorded. It will be on our website. We'll send out a link to that for everybody on our YouTube channel. But I really want to thank you for your time today. For our customers in the United States, have a great 4th of July weekend. For everyone else, just have a great weekend in general. And for the people that said, yes, we would like a demo, we will do a reach out to you. If you change your mind and don't want that demo, no problem. You're not going to offend us. We'll be happy to set up something convenient for you to show you the software, how it can help your business. And like I said, low pressure. Will be very respectful of your time. When we're going to have one person on our side. We're not going to have 3 people on the call hitting you from different angles. And we'll work with you on seeing if it's a good fit. We only want customers who are a good fit, and we'll make sure that's the case. So thanks again for your time, everyone. And we'll see you in the next webinar.